I will frequently get the middle-aged woman or the Asian lady like crossing in some sort of trance, crossing the grocery store to like try to touch my hair or say something or like be like, oh my god, your hair's so magical.
Over
like,
people with their hands in folks' hair.
Well, yeah.
I just said folkses. That's what it takes me to. It takes all my grammar away when your fingers are in my hair and you have not made eye contact with me and introduced yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I would never do that. You would never do that to a blonde with flowy mane. You would never do that to somebody who just got, their red streaks put in. That's not something that is an Anglo on Anglo action.
No.
And why is it Anglo on non-Anglo action? Like, that is the strangest thing to me. You would introduce yourself to someone's dog before you touch them, right? For fear of getting bitten.
Right. Yeah.
You should have that same fear with people, especially people who have been conditioned to have to deal with that kind of thing and are sort of fed up with it.
Right.
So if you have friends that are of color, in particular black friends, or you see people on the street, don't touch them without permission. Boys, that goes for you too.
Pretty much everybody.
Everyone.
Hands
off.
to yourself. And it's also more fun to touch someone when they're begging for it.
People are fascinating, especially up close. More especially when you get them talking about the things that they love. This is From the Hip, conversations in the service of passion, purpose, and play. I'm Adrianne Gunn. You ready to play? Today on From the Hip, I get to talking with my friend, actor, and singer Ithica Tell. We get to talking about race, how babies are terrifying, and some practical things we might do if we ran the world.
I think we're live. That is the rumor.
I'm told we're live.
We are live.
Hi.
So glad you're here. So I am Adrianne Gunn still. Hi. And I'm so pleased to be here with my friend. Go ahead and say your name.
I'm Ithica Tell. Hi.
Ithica Tell. You're the Ithica Tell.
I love that. I am the only one. I'm not the only Ithica. I'm a part of a group. We are Ithica on Facebook. We exist. Ooh. Check us out, ladies. And I think that's great. It's a name to carry.
Right. Will
just
and
like Gunn.
Sweet. Yes. Gunn is. I like it as a name.
It's a lot.
It's worked out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, people were scared of me for a lot of the years of my life.
That's
I'm
good.
just like, I don't want to mess with you. And I was like, I think that works.
I remember when we did that first show together, and there was some costume fitting or something, and you were like, I was like, gun and guns. So
yeah.
Right on.
There have been times when I've had the guns with the arm muscles.
Stronger.
Yeah.
Strong.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
How you been?
I've been a lot of ways since we last saw each other. Right?
What was that like?
2010.
Yeah.
I think so. 8 years.
Wow.
In some ways, it was just the other day.
Yeah.
And like decades
I literally
ago.
saw Sarah Faye 2 days ago.
Right.
It's that show. Wow.
So if you have watched any of the From the Hip episodes, we actually I've mentioned this show a couple times because it was pretty fun and epic, and we had Kate Mira on the show, and she was my wig wrangler for the show called Slap That Bitch.
Yes, it was.
It was a hip-hop retelling of Taming of the Shrew. Yeah. And I had this thought of all of the things, I'm like open to talk anything about you, but all of the things that I wanted to say, I needed to say this particular story about how we met.
Okay.
And this could go into any direction. One of the ways that I got to have that show is that we live in Portland, Oregon. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of things about theater in Portland, Oregon. And one of the things about theater in Portland, Oregon is to pause.
So can we do the intro again?
How do we do that?
I wasn't recording to the hard drive.
Oh, so the part where we say our names?
Yeah.
We could do that.
All right.
We're in. Okay.
Right.
You want us to do the intro again? I can tell. We're going to do it.
I'm in.
Okay.
Let's have it.
Hey, I'm Adrianne Gunn, and I am excited to be here with my friend.
Hi, I'm Ithica Tell.
Ithica Tell. Pretty sure the Ithica Tell.
I love the Ithica Tell. I still think it's awesome. I have friends that call me Miss Ithica Tell, which gives me this feeling of like greatness, but I'm Ithica. I'm the only Ithica Tell, but not the only Ithica. I have mentioned this before. We are a group
Yes.
on Facebook. We are Ithica and we exist.
Also, there's an
Girls.
Ithica in New York.
There is.
Probably, is it nearly as grand as you are?
They have a bumper sticker about the place that says Ithica is gorgeous. Because there are gorges, like the gorge, which I think is also clever and hilarious. Well done, Ithaca. They used to have the Ithaca dollar.
Wow.
Cornell University is there,
Oh,
so it embodies me in many ways. Grandeur, clever,
Sure.
and I try to be hella intelligent if I can. Do my
That's fair.
best.
Yeah, that's not a requirement.
It's not a requirement, but
So we were just talking about a show that we were in 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, 8 years ago. We met. And the way that I got in that show probably happens, it's a secret special way that you get in a show.
yes.
Where you get an email or a text from another person who's not white, say.
Like
Another
yes.
any
Person like
varying, very different, all kinds of colors. So I got an email from a friend, actually Lauren Modica, who's an amazing actress,
I love.
reached out to me and she's like, these people reached out to me, I'm busy, can you do this thing? They're looking for people of color to play in this like hip hop show.
Yeah.
And what's great is that like I didn't have to like look ahead or know about the show. I just wandered in and did pretty much a cold reading for a good 5 minutes and then I was in a show. Because sometimes it can be useful to tan or to tan up. Like I think I put makeup on, I don't remember. Tan up for a show. And there are a lot of parts.
That's funny.
I've been offered and not been able to do a bunch of Hispanic roles. There's a local company keeps reaching out to me for some reason to play a Hispanic male. I don't know what's going on with their system.
That's really interesting. I mean, I got to play Othello, so ladies playing men, no problem with that. Yeah, it was a great time. Jessica Tidd played Iago. She's fantastic. It was there were too many people for me to even think about naming at this moment because it's all color purple in the brain right now.
Right.
But you know who you are, Othello cast at Post 5 Theater, and it was amazing.
I would have loved to have seen your Othello. I'm sad I missed that.
So much fun. We, our director, Kate, I call her Katie Maggie Fisher-Drager, but it's Caitlin Margot Fisher-Drager. She's amazing. We went through that script and to take it sort of out of this masculine, really sort of like we make war, we hate people, we take women and make them behave kind of thing. We wanted to take all of the sort of misogynistic aims out. We took all of the pronouns out and changed the male pronouns to females, changed the lords to ladies. But in particular, my favorite shift was that we took the race out of it as well. We had Lava Alapai play anyway, the C guy. I can't think of the names right now because Shakespeare and Color Purple, they don't know.
She's in Color Purple right now.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Funny about Lava, sorry to introduce.
No, she's awesome.
She's the person I get confused for sometimes in town.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Of course you do.
We're the same person. We look not much alike,
No,
but the
you
shapes of
don't
our
look
hair,
alike.
we don't look like at all. Also, the lady from Rent, I don't look like her at all, except for apparently I look like
Rent?
Tracy, something Tracy.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
I ran into actually a couple of women. One of them is biracial, and one of them looks very much like me. And both of them said that they got confused, that someone got confused by them for me, as it were.
Nice.
Like they were like, "Oh, I saw you in the show, and you were wonderful." And they were like, "Thank you for Ithica, but she is not me." My friend Damali once. Was told that they thought she was and she turned it into an art project.
Oh, fuck
she is also
Is that Damali Ayo?
Damali Ayo.
I met her.
She's transcendently talented. I love her. But the thing about Portland is, I will even take The Color Purple, for example. We are in this show together. There are a bunch of different faces. We're all black faces. It's an entire black cast. The production crew is our director, music director, choreographer are all black. And the opening night and the last couple of nights, we've walked into the lobby and audiences have been saying how wonderful so-and-so was playing the lead role when she actually was playing, one of the secondary roles. And so it's an interesting... it's an interesting place to be where there are so few of you and people still can't recognize you at times. I get the benefit of being incredibly tall.
Yes.
And I stand out like a huge ebony sequoia,
Yeah.
Like there are reasons you can't miss me, but in that case, I've often been confused for some of our more well-known drag queens in town.
Fair. Funny you say that.
Yeah.
So in the show we were in, you played a character, Bobo.
I did.
Who I think was a dude. It's fair, it's fun that maybe Bobo was a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because it worked in the show.
Yeah.
But when I was thinking about, and I was like, I got in touch with you, like, hey, can you show up and can we do this show?
Yeah.
In my brain, it felt weird to call you she. When I was describing to a friend, she said she can do it. I was just like, why does that feel weird? Because there's a large portion of how I related to you was on stage in that show from that character, and you were Bobo, you were my protector, and there was like this dude vibe.
Right.
And I'm like, also there's Ithica, and Ithica is a she, right?
Yeah.
Why is that confusing?
Yeah, it was confusing for me even. I mean, because at my size, at my height, I can also be a voluptuous woman, and so I had to pad my midriff to have the breasts blend in to the belly, and so that I didn't just look like a girl out there. So that was a really interesting thing. Hair, makeup, posture, that sort of thing.
Did you
but
end
then
up
I
looking like
also
any of your family members?
I look like I think I look like my dad if he had gained a whole lot of weight. But then I did another show with a company called Fuse, directed by Rusty Newton Tennant. That it was called Consider the Oyster, and the play is about a man who eats some oysters, and the oyster has the ability to turn from one sex to the other in its gestation process. So they can be male or female.
Right.
He broke his leg, and they used the oyster to fix the bone, and you eat them too.
Right.
And so he started to turn into a woman, and he had a fiance, and how does the world sort of deal with love? That was the crux of the show, but I was much thinner between Slap That Bitch and the other show, and I was able to strap the girls down. And I looked so much like my younger brother that I kind of had a little bit of a, I'm not quite sure I can handle this. I had a tiny meltdown because it's only recently that I've gotten to a point in my life where if a person mistakes me for a man, it doesn't hurt my feelings and make me feel like they're saying I'm ugly or all of these things that are like drawbacks from 6th grade through 12th grade, elementary through high school, kids being horrible to each other. It was the way it was. And when I saw myself, and I looked so much like my brother, who is a handsome ass man, if I have to say. But regardless of how beautiful I think he is as a male, for me as a woman to see that and not be a person who has any sort of trans tendencies, to be like a super cis chick in a great big hard mess with me and will have issues body.
Right.
That is, and also be sort of a chihuahua of mind, if I am a dog, if I'm going to put myself in the body of a dog, I'm one of those tiny little toy dogs. I'm a miniature pincher. I look tough, I sound tough, but I'm like a mastiff with a miniature pincher inside. So that was hard for me to take. And until recently, I've not crossed over to that plateau where it's like, you know what? If you looking at me, feel like the energy that you're going to give me is the energy that you would give a man, which is respect, reverence, care and feeding, as it were, as opposed to what you would give me as a woman, which is backseatedness. I am down. Misplace the breast for pecs. Have right at that. Take the deep voice for like a real man voice and not like a lady bass. It's just, I'm totally okay with it now, but I had to grow into that as a person. I really had to start finding my sort of my own personal awesome. Like besides anything else, I never got to develop any finitis. Like I was never so pretty that everybody wanted to hang out with me just because I was gorgeous, and I wasn't like the super smartest kid. Like nobody wanted to cheat off of me either necessarily.
Right.
So I had to develop something, and it was pretty much clever, but that took a while.
Heck yeah. I love that when I feel most me, how I feel inside, I get so surprised when I walk by a mirror or I see my reflection somewhere. I'm like, oh, that's what I look like. Because a lot of the people that I modeled growing up are like Michael J. Fox or other people that people wouldn't think of, right?
Yeah.
And so when I feel most like me is when I feel like this like glowing orb of like ether with the universe, sort of light and breezy, and I'm just love and light, and I get that back from people in that sort of way. And then occasionally people will say things or respond to me in a way that goes like, oh yeah, apparently I'm female. Oh yeah, apparently I have this who knows what the heck I am ethnicity.
Ambiguous, sort of thing,
And there's a lot of ways that I just love it when people see the real me or the one I feel most connected to, and then they reflect it back to me.
Yeah.
It's such a treasure because we didn't pick any of this. Like I get so many, if I go out in public, and I do sometimes, I will frequently get the middle-aged woman or the Asian lady like crossing in some sort of trance, crossing the grocery store to like try to touch my hair or say something, or like, be like, oh my God,
so
your hair's so magical.
over
like,
people with their hands in folks' hair.
Yeah.
I just said folkses. That's what it takes me to. It takes all my grammar away when your fingers are in my hair and you have not made eye contact with me and introduced yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I would never do that. You would never do that to a blonde with flowy mane. You would never do that to somebody who just got, their red streaks put in. That's not something that is an Anglo on Anglo action.
No.
And why is it Anglo on non-Anglo action? Like, that is the strangest thing to me. You would introduce yourself to someone's dog before you touch them, right? For fear of getting bitten.
Right, yeah.
You should have that same fear with people, especially people who have been conditioned to have to deal with that kind of thing and are sort of fed up with it.
Right.
So if you have friends that are of color, in particular black friends, or you see people on the street, don't touch them without permission. Boys, that goes for you too.
Pretty much everybody.
Everyone.
Hands
off.
to yourself. And it's also more fun to touch someone when they're begging for it.
Yes.
So I'll go out and I'm mesmerizing people with my hair and that sort of thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, I have this hair. Or, oh yeah, like there's times where it's like a celebrity. It's like celebrity for me, the way that the magic of my hair. And I haven't always had this hairstyle, but it's like mesmerizes some people into some weird responses. And I had to live up to they would anticipate joy from me because they loved my hair, but I was kind of a grumpy person for a lot of years. And so I was like,
well, I'm sure some of that comes from people always expecting you to be like, sure, you can touch it.
Yeah, also childhood trauma.
Although I tell you what, I really, the first time I met you, I was like, ask. It's like, it like calls to you.
Yeah.
It's so, the ringlets are, they're so lovely and tight yet separate and bouncy. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you. When I was little, I haven't had this memory in a while. When I was little, I was ashamed of my hair because I thought that it looked like Medusa. And Medusa was evil.
Oh,
and that made me sad. Well, that's what I thought at the time, because in children folklore,
but then you studied, and you realized she was tortured and not evil. Yeah. Poor Medusa.
Damn it.
She didn't do nothing wrong, y'all. Like, seriously, she literally was just pretty.
Oof.
She was the most beautiful of the 3 Gorgon sisters.
Right.
And so Zeus loved her, so his wife cursed her face. Like, what?
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Yeah. We literally need like text mythology. Like, hashtag cursed her face. Like, that's it. That's poor Medusa. She didn't do nothing wrong. Hashtag Hera cursed her face.
Right.
Not cool.
That's it's pretty
Not cool. But, you know, Zeus was like turning into swans and raping folks, so.
There was a lot going on.
She had to put something down.
The Greek gods. All of the gods from all of the places.
All of the gods are a bit of a mess.
And they're sort of, you know, morphs of humanity at the time. It sounds like,
hello,
as much as we can be like, hey, remember to ask to touch my hair, humanity has improved.
Yes.
Technically.
Absolutely.
Quite a lot.
Well, yes.
We're not shooting it. Some of us aren't shooting each other in the streets. Not as much.
It's, okay. I'm having a wonderful time being a Black American woman in society. So here's the whole thing. There's so many minorities that you can be, right? And as each one compounds, like diamonds, the pressure makes you stronger, or you just crack in half. Like we're carbon-based creatures, right? So I decided to diamond, right? I am a woman. I am a Black. I am a tall woman in particular. We are a niche in society that is sort of weirdly dehumanized, but, you know, we figured that out because models. But I'm also, you know, like a real person in society, and so not a model. I am left-handed. Yeah, the simple
right-handed
thing.
privilege.
Right-hand privilege is a thing. It's a world. It's a whole world that you have to learn. But each and every one of those things, if you are strong enough to get past them, I am religiously indifferent. I once called myself a recovering Christian, but I think I'm past that. Okay. I'm like religiously indifferent at this point. I am spiritually connected and religiously indifferent. There's more. There's so many, but I don't need to put a label on it because those labels narrow opportunities for people to express their true selves, right? So if this guy over here says this thing that makes you automatically feel like excluded, then you're gonna tuck your head under your little wing and wander away until you find something that makes you feel like you want to pull your head out and stick your chin up. And I think that is what most clinically religious people lack, and spiritual yet religiously indifferent people, I think, are going to be this new wave of positive energy. Digits crossed.
The other things I'm thinking about is the way in which, as actors, you and I, it's part of my training. We are a many thing.
Yeah, we have to be.
I know you have amazing singing voice too.
We have to be. I'm trying to be nice to it right now, so.
We can do that. Well, actors, what's interesting is we might be able to better model a kind of fluidity of expression personally, and of, like, people don't talk in the Muggle world, outside of the acting and theater world, about receptivity. That we're practicing a kind of receptivity in every moment on stage.
Well, we're sort of Pavlov programmed into that if you've taken any kind of real acting class. That yes and is not something that happens naturally.
No.
The ability to be open and receive any kind of improv training, any kind of like free form acting training forces you to take what the other person has given you that was not on the page and give something back that is equally structured and strong and keeps the flow going. If you throw a brick in that's, you know, it's just negative. It's just antithetical to getting anything done.
Yeah.
And if you work enough, if you've gotten your hours, your 10,000 hours of theater in, yes and is like breathing after a while, and you start to do that with people in life. And if you're really good at it and you also don't like to hate people. Some of us do.
Yeah, no, I had moments.
And
years.
I have encountered some people in this town who have taken me to a place where I've had to gently school without actively raging at the same time. Yeah. And it's been, I think, a positive experience for them. It was certainly a positive experience for me because it helped me learn some things about my ability to rein my emotional beast, as it were.
Right.
And I think that is a skill that a lot of actors fail to continue to sharpen.
Right.
Like, it's like a knife. You know, you need something to keep those edges straight. And as we work, they sort of bow out and, you know, flex. And conversations with people, opportunities with the world,
right.
You know, just even getting out and talking to people after a show. The act of engaging the public when you've worked as hard as you've worked and you've literally at sometimes bled,
yep.
certainly sweated, and as for the color purple, tears. It's after you're doing all of that, plus all the singing, plus all of the sending of yourself to fill the space where 600
yes.
people are.
Yes.
You know, it's amazing.
You're lucky
on the
that
body.
you get to do that with other people.
Yeah.
That kind of energy. I've had some challenges with. Nate Crosby says that he loves us both. Hey, Nate, I love you, man.
I love you, Nate.
Miss you. The thing of like, okay, you get into that receptive energy on stage and you throw yourself out big, and then going out with the publics, I had to install the habit of continuing that large energy until I got home. Because when I used to get off musical stages, I had the hard time making that, like I jumped off the step of the stage and hit the floor, and then I'm just Adrianne. Like I may as well be doing laundry, and people are trying to talk to me.
Yeah.
But they're not trying to talk to me, they're trying to talk to the energy that I had on stage.
Yeah.
And I needed to like install like some version of that kind of energy so that I could stay in a receptive space with people, because I'm ready to like shut down and nap.
Yeah.
And like squeeze under some blankets and that sort of thing.
That's interesting. So stage door is like part of the job for me. And it is on. And the thing about Portland is that the stage door doesn't really stop after your show is done. The stage door doesn't stop when your show is over. I've literally run into people in the grocery store who are like, you know, I saw you in Alice in Wonderland at Northwest Children's Theater like years ago, 2 years ago, or just saw Cinderella, or, you know, saw me in a Harriet Tubman tour when they were in elementary school in 2000. And so that staying receptive to people on a regular basis is really important, like always for me. And so I'm not always on like that, but I mean, my ability to engage with people is always in reserve.
Nice.
And I can tell when they need it, and I can tell when they don't need it and they just want it because they want to feel whatever, and so I'll give them what they need. I'm also I work with people outside of doing theater, so I've been, you know, teaching kids in after-school arts programs, and so there's always some bit of me going out to the universe because there's a lot in here. I liken myself to a fire tornado.
Yeah. I've had an internal representation of like the spinning phoenix vortex of fire and energy.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. And I haven't built the trap door, you know, to like just lock it down. I mean, yes, I have. It's there are two things: sleep and wine. But I'm an aquatic fitness instructor, and I deal with people of ranging ages and abilities and that sort of thing, and engaging with folks like that all the time. Literally, if I ride the bus in this town, people just start talking to me.
Also, you're very recognizable.
Good. That is true, but I live in Portland. Like, if I went someplace else, the same thing would happen, and that's because I radiate that energy. I really do believe that people, the heat that you produce creates a color. I know some of y'all think it's woo-woo, but auras exist.
Well, they take photos of it.
Yeah, they do. And mine is hot and cool at the same time. It's like, you know, Portland in the early fall. I am September. In most places, I am September. And I think that's, and I'm also born in September, so there you go.
Hey, when's your birthday?
September 5th.
Hey.
Yeah, and my husband's is September 6th.
Oh, that's...
And our mother's birthdays are the exact same day as each other, which is...
That's interesting.
amazing. Yeah, he's so amazing. Ethan LaFrance, he's incredible. I love him so much. He literally walked around the corner into my life.
Wow.
At an audition at Post 5 Theater. More than one good thing happened to me in my connection with that company. And we met and we've just been together ever since. We got married in Germany last year and he's fantastic and everything I ever needed, wanted. Didn't realize that there were some things, you know how you make a list and you're like, box, tick these boxes or no go. He was like, Broughton. Can I make you a new box, babe? This and this. I was like, oh wait, now there's a new list of things. Like, don't let anything happen to him because I will be devastated. But
Fair,
you know, I'm not even gonna think about that. We won't put that.
Well,
no.
You know,
no. Our birthdays are a day apart.
That's so wonderful.
Yeah, it's transcendent.
Couple years?
We've been together. Actually, January 3rd will be our 4-year anniversary to the day that we met. And our anniversary, the first date would be January 15th.
Nice.
Yeah. I love him. I love him so much. He's just, he's my thing. He's my perfect thing. He's perfect. He's absolutely perfect for me. He's taller than me. He makes me feel like a tiny person.
Wow.
So here's this thing.
Right.
I personally call it Amazon syndrome. Women people in general are sort of given the idea that little things, cute things are supposed to be picked up and hugged and snuggled. You always want to like pick up and squeeze the thing you love. And I've been 6 feet tall since I was 12 years old.
Yeah.
My father is 6'4". He has not picked me up in years because I was a grown-up. My brothers are taller than me, except for one, but they're all younger than me. And I tend to, when we were kids, I was throwing them around, and then we grew up and they were bigger than me, and then we just sort of stopped. So my relationships, there aren't that many tall men in the world. Well, there are, but they weren't in my sphere.
Right, yes. I was in similar...
And you're relatively tall, too.
I have some tallness.
But
and I also
sort of
have some,
you.
depending on where I'm at in my life, I've been tiny, but I'm usually I have either muscle or some curve or stuff going on. I'm like the substance of a person.
Yeah.
So in my moments of getting to be tiny and thrown around, and I didn't know that it was a thing.
It's a thing.
That it was enjoyable and whoa.
Yeah. It's fun. It's like being in a roller coaster that is warm and loves you. You know what I mean?
Nice.
It smells nice.
Really good smelling roller coaster.
And and just has a heartbeat. It's so great. Like the first time I hugged Ethan, I was at a show. I was emceeing a show with my friend Matt Ensley, who is my bandmate, me, and he and I are the Bindlepunks, and we were emceeing a fundraiser that he was doing for Esther's Pantry. Ethan came to see it because our friend Heidi, said, go and see it.
Right.
Get out of the house. Stop being, sit around or whatever. He wasn't getting out, so she suggested it.
Yeah.
He came to the show. He helped us clean up. And I decided I was going to ask for things.
I've done that
right?
too.
It's like, here's what I want. What I want to do is I want to hug because you're so tall. Can I hug you? And I asked him and he hugged me. And when he hugged me, his chin hit my forehead.
Oh.
And my brain sort of short-circuited there for a moment. It just went zzz, that's never happened. And that is I didn't realize it was a thing like that, but the second it happened, I was just like, I cannot exist in the world without this person in my life.
Yeah.
And so I proceeded to find him. In a picture that my friend Heidi had in her banner, his head was cut off. All I could see was from the lips down, and I was like, that's that guy. So I found him, and I gave all my information. We got together on the phone. And then, the rest is history.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Love is so sweet.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's short circuit.
Awesome.
I have total like psychological, scientific ways of describing that thing, but that's not as important as how you felt and that it's working for you.
It's chemistry, man. I
Yeah.
mean, literally, I do believe in the science of love, in the science of connection. I do. There's something chemical that happens to you, and the smell of a person can do a thing. I mean, there's some,
There's some interesting stuff these days about like attachment theory,
Yep.
where like the combo of adult romantic relationships having this powerful and profound capacity to heal any particular attachment challenges you had in your primary parenting relationships. I'm not saying that we already get sort of colloquially that we sort of date our parents in like a non-creepy way. So sometimes you find the modeling that you had when you were little. But it's not just your parents, it's whoever else you modeled and looked up to. And however, all of your connections with people when you were a tiny person, these moments of the ways that our nervous system was wired and the moments that we felt good. So when we were tiny and held in a nurturing way, that wires deep. And so when we find another moment like that, and there aren't many moments like that for adults of connection and touch and apparently things we need.
Well, because we, sort of privatize is not the word I'm looking for, but we shift every level of human skin-on-skin contact into a sexual intimacy box. And after you are a certain age, you're not allowed to have these kinds of really necessary tactile relationships with people outside of somebody trying to get some, and that's terrible. Like, my brothers and I are not the huggiest crew. But I think that is something that we were conditioned to or out of, and then whatever, you get old and you're just like, get off me. But, it's not, I know a bunch of siblings like that, but I also have friends who, like, the second they come into contact with their brother or sister, they're like hugging or wrestling or something that is right up on them. And that's great, but that wasn't my style.
That
but
wasn't my family.
I don't know, there's something, my dad met my husband, he was my fiance at the time, and Ethan is taller than my father by like 4 inches.
Nice.
So that was an interesting face-to-face. My dad loves him, by the way, I'm really happy about that. My mom loved him as well, so he sort of pleased both the parents. Ultimately, in the long run, that was a good thing.
Nice. Well, I'm glad to hear that. So you get to do
Yeah.
acting in town quite a lot. I don't want to say whether, like, because you're ridiculously talented. So
I appreciate that.
You may, like, when I think of you, I imagine you as being, like, one of the first, like, on the top list of the first people that people want to call to bring in for a lot of roles in town. Like, there are people who are, literally right now, there are at least 4 people in this town writing something specifically for you.
If that were true, I'd be working more. Actually, I'm doing a lot right now. My friend, Elizabeth Huffman, this year has been madness. Elizabeth and I went to Germany. She wrote a play, Shakespeare piece. She took all of these bits from Shakespeare, sonnets, bits from, all the plays, Much Ado About Nothing, just here and there. We got some Falstaff in there, there's some Pym, and she put it together into Bon Temps Roulé at the Shakespeare Cafe. We did it at Fertile Ground here in Portland in 2013.
Nice.
She revamped it, and we pitched it to this company in Bremen, Germany, the Bremer Shakespeare Company.
Sweet.
They picked it up. We translated that show into German. So I got to go to Germany to perform a Shakespeare piece that isn't a Shakespeare piece because Shakespeare didn't write it, but Shakespeare wrote it. Written by Elizabeth Huffman. Songs that were sonnets. I got to sing blues numbers and jazz tunes and speak German. Like, it was, to learn a language. I'm actually learning it now. I basically took the German, listened to it, absorbed it into my brain, had no idea what I was saying, except I knew the play.
Right.
So I knew what I was saying, but German and English do not direct translate.
Right.
And so that was an interesting sort of, where is this word and how does it work? How does the poetry in Shakespeare suss out? That was an incredible learning experience. Got to get married over there, got to have my honeymoon in London, came home, lots of fitness work, and then auditions. Color Purple happened like that. That was fantastic. Timothy Douglas is wonderful. Darius Smith, fantastic. Lady Dana Didi Figueroa is a brilliant. She's so beautiful and such a lovely dancer, and her attachment to earth movement is really transcendent. It's one of my favorite things about Color Purple is the dancing that we do. It's not like typical Broadway show dancing. There's no like high kicks, pirouettes, and that sort of thing, which is fine. But the show is sort of one of those. It's rooted in Black culture, so we got some moves from Africa, some things from like ring shots from the church.
Nice.
That sort of thing. So to be able to be a part of that is amazing. I'm doing Crowns at Portland Playhouse next year, and TV and film, whatever I can get my fingers on at the moment.
Heck yeah. I was thinking how funny it is, the resurgence of like people loving musicals and a cappella singing. There's a lot of things that are growing that it sort of suffered probably through the like MTV years. There were a lot of things that didn't quite suss out.
Including True Music.
Right. But I got really freaked out when I saw that Fun Home was going to be a musical. I'm just like, I have a trigger around musicals. Like, there are a couple of triggers that I don't understand why they're there, but that's what triggers are about sometimes. We're like Vienna, like a choir, if you have a tiny soprano boy, I will sob. So in all of the gangster movies where everybody's like, and shooting everybody, then there's that scene always in all of the like 90s gangster films where there's the tiny boy
angelic
and then I'm
voice
sobbing in this badass film. But musicals, whether they earn it or not by being good or or useful, I will sob at whatever the songs are.
Yeah.
Whether they earn it or not. And so I was thinking about.
But the fact is, they do earn it. If it comes from you,
I suppose
they paid for it.
I've seen a lot of terrible shows.
But what does the music do to you?
I guess that person.
That's the thing, though.
Yeah.
It's the difference between a play and a musical. Like this could have easily, Color Purple could have easily been just turned into a stage play, but they already made the movie, right? So why bother?
This is the one where it actually makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Like my first instinct was like, oh gosh, that sounds terrible. And I haven't seen the show. I will though.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then I was like, wait a second. The positioning. Like I've watched the movie. I read the book. This is the only musical that makes sense to be lived out as a musical because the survival strategy of the community was to sing. They were singing to like an Underground Railroad, to sing commands, like singing, dancing music was
especially
part
for
of,
this culture.
Absolutely.
And the Southern Black aspect of it, like that was, I mean, this Baptist business is no joke. Like they were literally singing their lives day in, day out, and it's a channeling of the good energy to push out the bad energy, to be able to then go and face the world again, is an interesting way to purify oneself. And it is always moving. I think the one thing, Eddie Izzard makes a joke about this.
Okay.
I love him. He's an incredible comedian. And the joke that he makes is that religious music typically, especially Anglo religious music, is very dirgical, blah, oh God, it's all sad and down and oh, life sucks and you be nice to me, God, thanks. But for people who have gone through some of the toughest struggles, the hardest living, the most put upon for no reason circumstances, still every time show up, put together, and the music takes you to this place that is so like full of joy and goodness and glory, and you end up the praise level is transcendent. These white churches, not just white churches, but Anglo churches like the Catholic Church, all the money.
They have all the money.
All the money.
Yeah.
Not that there are some, televangelical organizations that are not, pretty strapped as well, but I'm talking all the money. And the music is still very sad and
We have too
Yes.
much flag.
Sorry.
We have everything. We killed a lot of
And
people.
our music is more like, there's someone over here going whoosh, whoosh, and we're going, thank you, Lord. Yes, we'll take it. We take everything because that's what we do. And it's just not. How do we do it? How do we take the whip and be the tambourine at the same time?
Yeah.
It's something I'm really happy to be connected to as a person, as a people, as a something. If I'm going to be connected to something in this country, I want to be a part of the thing that everybody steals from. Like, all the
Right.
coolest shit is from us.
Yeah.
I mean, down to the stoplight, but we won't get into that. There's this, like, Facebook page that is, like, all the things that the world would be without if it weren't for black folks.
Sure.
Most of our clothing, because cotton. Tobacco.
Right.
No cigarettes for y'all.
No
I mean,
PB&J.
like, yeah, no PB&J.
Really, just not the whole country.
So many things.
In a lot of ways.
Heart transplant stuff, like lots of things. Women as well. I mean, yeah, Madame Curie. I just have to say that out loud. She was amazing. She wasn't black, but she was amazing. And when we remember that,
Women invented Wi-Fi too.
what?
Women invented
CJ,
Wi-Fi.
woman invented Wi-Fi. You
There
just
you go.
blew my little mind.
We wouldn't
Look,
be
I got
here
a new ring.
without women. Right
Not
now.
only that, we wouldn't be here if we didn't remember that we were part of the animal species.
Right.
Like, there was this thing that came out on NPR just the other day that was like, the placenta would not be able to form if it wasn't for this bacteria that didn't exist. I mean, come on.
That's amazing.
It's a gross thing. It's a bacteria in our body, but it makes the babies be babies. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
My husband made me want babies.
Oh, wow.
You know me. I
Right.
was like, babies are for chumps.
That's exhausting. Who
I
wants
was
that?
like, our babies would have been beautiful.
Yeah, children are terrible people, but
They
that's
are.
exciting.
Yeah, ours would have
Well.
been fierce little gorgeous monsters, like tall with beautiful legs and like perfectly balanced, like you, perfectly balanced. First rule of genetics, spread the genes apart.
It's truth. Yeah. It's funny. I tend to not necessarily get the pleasure of identifying with the cultures I'm from very frequently. It's funny because even to be called to play a black or people of color, I technically sort of am a people of color, but I don't. I'm more of a question mark.
Well, where are you
with a
from?
question mark. Well, so my father's side is Scottish and German. That's our namesake. We have a crest and the plaid and the whole thing.
I'm 4% Irish.
Nice.
Yeah, on my mama's side so far.
I had like DNA stuff done recently enough, and like 38% is West African stuff. So I always used
Yeah.
to say like I'm just a mix of a bunch of different kinds of slaves bred for size and strength.
Pretty much.
So I don't know where they're all from. Somewhere
Yeah.
Africa smooshed together, and every now and then there's the tiny things that now we have language to call it microaggressions. There are things I've experienced my whole life that are in the category of sort of microaggressions generally. And so there was stuff I experienced about like gender things because I was very androgynous. Maybe I'm still, but like kicked out of bathrooms for more of my life until I was about 25 and short hair.
That was my whole aghast face. What?
Yeah, no, who I am now and present, like people wouldn't have known. And
Yeah.
I used to be outside all of the time, so I was way, way dark.
Yeah.
So when I was little, I got more stuff. But like, one of the things you were talking about, things that were stolen from our culture. The last, I guess, okay, I just recently did watch Hidden Figures like a year ago, and I'm like, our country is stupid.
It's a good movie.
Fuck that this movie. Yay, this movie, but fuck that this is just stupid. That all these
Shame.
black women like saved the
Right?
fucking
Saved
moon
the space
landing.
program. Saved
my
the space
God.
program. Saved
Yeah.
the space program. Space Force.
But I was I was sitting in rock and roll history class. Thought it was cool.
Wait.
I was sitting in a rock and roll history class.
Just had to have a.
And the teacher taught us many things, like where country music, and I learned that the banjo's from Africa and all those things. But there's this moment where he throws on this video, because it's in the part where you've got, it's rhythm and blues, or it's, what was it before it was rock and roll? Okay.
Rhythm and blues.
It was like
country,
country,
but the first
western
like rock and roll
rockabilly.
guitar player
Yeah.
was another black lady. She was amazing.
So he puts this video up, and it's super black and white. There's an SG, which is that devil horn shaped Gibson guitar,
Yeah.
on this curvy black woman, Sister
Yes!
Thorpe.
Yes. Rosetta Thorpe. Yeah.
I'm sitting there in the class, and instantly I can't tell if I want to sob or vomit.
It's both.
Because I felt fortunate to at least be. I'd started playing guitar at 13. I started performing around 14.
Yeah.
But at least be in the part where acoustic guitars and electric came back into the forefront. Women songwriters were becoming very popular. It was just pre-Lilith Fair that I was learning to play guitar, an instrument. But the rule was that like rock and roll was for like skinny white boys, and that was it. And not only was this curvy black woman playing electric guitar, she was playing lead guitar, and I just wanted to vomit. And I only found out a year ago, like that was 10 years ago, I found out a year ago that she was also bisexual, and I'm just like,
I didn't know that.
And that was well known at the time. There's just the fluctuations of, like,
time is an interesting thing. It's an interesting beast.
this weird way of like, so many things that I just felt a deep betrayal and sadness of the way in which there's a story of who music is for and who makes it, and how much
this country is very. We've grown. But when I think about the fact that Portland, Oregon, if B.B. King wanted to come through town to play, he couldn't stay at a hotel here. He had to stay at someone's house in Northeast, right? Like when James Brown. I mean, same thing. And so to have this legacy of possibility, the music, the stuff that we've created, also be hidden behind this thing, of course we don't know. There's so much we don't get to experience because it was, I mean, we as a country, not just we as people of color, but I keep hitting this microphone, sorry y'all. We as a country, but we as people of color, we don't get to know our own history, which is a shame enough. But the fact that on top of that, hiding that, doesn't allow America to be as rich as it could be.
Oh my God.
Because if more people here recognize that everybody that comes here has done something awesome, that all of the groups have participated, and there is no superiority, my eye. Come here, work your little butt off, and things will happen for you. Like, chance favors the prepared. You can't just sit there on your butt and expect things to manifest. You gotta get out there and do some work.
Right.
And a lot of this country was built off the mental manifestations of other people who put the physical manifestation on the backs of folks that they aren't paying for. And that continues. That continues with our migrant workers, that continues with our fruit pickers, that continues with our waiters and our teachers, and it's too much. Like, we undervalue the people that we need to value the most, and we overvalue the people that we really should be allowing to take a back seat. And maybe give them some other kind of responsibility.
Right.
You know, we're paying millions to these boys to play games for us and be our pigskin gladiators. And in the meantime, we're also telling them to sit down and shut up because they didn't earn their chance to talk about the stuff that they're doing for us. Like, we want to have it so many different ways, and we're not getting it any of the ways right now. Our job as artists is to sort of help people see their stupidity.
Yeah.
And not just to entertain you. It is not always just for fun. Sometimes it's for learning.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Well, and I keep wondering if it's possible that the skill sets that we have to entertain, I know for a fact that they're therapeutic, because we get to experience the therapy of what it means to embody a new story cellularly. Like, you just like bring in a new story inside, and how that allows us to heal our stories about who we are, what we're capable of, that sort of thing. I laugh frequently that when I am on stage, I can dance and move in all kinds of ways that I can't dance and move. Like, even the character I played with you, Charmaine, she's got moves that she'll have to teach them to me.
I have pictures of you mounting on a couch.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh,
But
that show. Yeah.
I want more of the skill set and tools that we have to be dispersed so that everybody can get more of that access
How
to
do
their
you
fullest selves.
teach people to imagine themselves invincible? You know, how do you teach people to imagine themselves vulnerable? Like part of the madness of being an actor is the ability to flip in and out of yourself in so many ways, and it's usually the selves that you muggles, as you call them, have been conditioned to closet. And so we are used to living in those places of strength, vulnerability. Like I learned to be a strong person by pretending to be one on stage.
Yes.
Right? So when I was scared, I went on stage anyway. When those butterflies happen and you feel like you're gonna throw up, you go throw up, you brush your teeth, and get your ass on stage, right?
Yeah.
Like, though that's just the way, and so you condition yourself. Today we did a workshop with some students in a high school, and we were talking about actors as professionals. And the professional actor is a theatrical athlete. We have to be trained to do certain things, and just like any athlete, we have to condition up.
Right.
So before you go break boards in a martial arts class, you've got to put your hand through a couple of boards, right? You got to warm up to it. You've got to like make the bones strong enough to keep doing that without breaking. That is what we do to our psyche as actors, is we keep opening up the wounds. Some people can't do that without breaking, and they should not be actors.
Right.
If you can't, if you're in a play and you are playing a murderer and you can't leave the set and not be that murderer,
You're not an
I
actor.
personally think you're not an actor. You're a doer, and that actually I think is more of a mental health issue.
Yeah.
And can lead to mental health issues for actors.
That is a deeper conversation about
Much deeper
method
conversation. Yes.
that is celebrated is not acting.
No, it's
and-
not acting. It's
not
frightening.
consent.
It's not consent.
And it's a disorder.
Yeah.
That's really scary.
It frightens me a lot.
Yeah.
I think an actor should be able to get in there, get it on cue, and get out.
I think
and
one
there
of the
should be
things,
life in that.
at this point, I'm gonna gender something. Very few women need to do method because women are cultured to do emotions.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are a lot of male actors that I don't think know how to do the expansive emotions unless they literally put themselves in the position. And I was like, but that's not that's not flexibility.
No.
That's not how acting should work or needs to work, and you don't need to do that. One, to be able to be expressive, one doesn't need, that's somebody who has no capacity for emotions, and that's far more like narcissism, which is an illness.
Absolutely.
That can be healed, it turns out.
Can it now?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, there's new studies
Was
about
it self-awareness? Heals narcissism?
No, narcissism is, in simplest terms, a disconnection from the body. Obviously, disconnection from emotions. That everybody knows, but it's almost literally as if you've been cut off from being able to experience your body and sensory stuff.
Right.
So it's body work primarily that is the pathway to healing narcissism.
Interesting.
Because you're like, if you think of it as an injury, much like paraplegics or disconnected, it's an injury to their ability to connect with other people through emotions and stuff.
Wow.
So that's why they have to do such extreme measures to try to feel an emotion. I have to pretend I am literally in a dungeon to, like, you just, like, the method. I have to stay there because I can't.
Yeah.
It's because they can't feel.
Yeah. They're not connected to the, that's an interesting concept. I don't, the thing that I think I need to work on most as an actor is dialing it back. You can tell by my face, I'm just an expressive person. And I express to the ability of my body. And so it's interesting to me to think about not smiling with my whole face,
Right.
you know, and to only smile with part of it so that your nose doesn't crinkle or whatever is anti-photogenic. And like to have to think about that kind of stuff is ridiculous.
Smaller gestures for crying out.
Yeah, smaller gestures. Like, I'm not, do nothing. That doesn't, I do, it's a struggle. It's not a struggle. It is a challenge that I am willing to undertake. Like I'm going after it. I just really am going to. And everybody's like, do nothing, and it feels like cheating.
Yeah.
Because when your job is to open and express and be available, that leaves you open to all of this stuff that is usually flooding from the body. And now you've asked me to put a big old dam over it and just, you know, eke out a little bit here and eke out a little bit there and not let any of it show in your eyebrows while you have this raging conversation with somebody at a level this high because the microphone can pick it up.
Right,
like,
right.
This is,
it's different.
I'm not on my voice at all. It's vocally damaging. Like, there's so many things that we actors have to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, and then to put a method actor in the, like, you take that method and go get some training. How about that?
Right. Therapy. Go get some therapy.
Therapy.
Go stretch it out. Go work out your stuff with your mother.
I am really fortunate that I got to work out all my parents' stuff with my parents.
That's awesome.
Like, directly with them. Like, the benefit of growing up the way I did grow up is that my mom really treated us like individual adults and was very straight about the way things were going to be, and if they were not that way, what the consequences were. And when a person is aware of their consequences and response able to those consequences, not just responsible, like response able, you can get some shit done because you've made the choice to. That's really definitive about a positive and forward culture, period. And my mom made sure that she raised all her kids to be a part of that flow.
Nice.
My dad also really made sure that, you know, that the kids got the direction that was necessary. He did a really great job keeping people on the straight and narrow, giving people the opportunity to go to college and that sort of thing. My dad worked all the time. He is a nonstop workaholic, and I respect that. You need to retire now, Daddy. It's time to rest. But yeah, that drive comes from somewhere and comes from him, you know?
Yeah.
My mom was pretty driven too, but she was really way more about treating people well and connecting with folks. And she loved theater and that ability to express truth, someone else's truth, even if it's not mine. This playwright has put this piece together and for them and for those characters, that is who they are. And whether I agree with them or not, it should not change the way I portray them. You know, like I said, I am not a religious person, but Doris is, my church lady is.
Yeah.
And myself, I have a costume piece, a little crucifix with a little coin, a jewel on it. And initially I was like, I don't know if I want to wear this because it feels a little, if you are not a part of the energy, it feels weird to put your feet in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in a respectful way, it felt a little blasphemic.
That's what I was sort of gesturing towards when I was talking about sometimes when I get hired to play a person of color, I feel like I'm putting on blackface.
Yes. Yeah,
and
because I am
really
not
careful about how I approach that.
Well, for you, I think it's a little bit, the edges are a little sharper because you are biracial or multiracial. I don't even know if you're only biracial, but you are multiracial and visually ambiguous.
Right.
So that is a world that you have to live in, but that living in that world has afforded you opportunities that the rest of us don't have, so you understand your white privilege. And
I
you
also have like a weird invisible
deal,
thing.
yeah.
Like I
you
don't
also
have
have
a
to deal
thing.
with the negative, with the backlash, the colorized backlash.
Right.
Because in our society, if the dark brown people were the ones that were told that they were crap, and the light brown people were the ones that were okay, then the dark brown people started to hate on the light brown people,
Yes.
and the light brown people started to look down on the dark brown people, and so now we have this colorism battle, and that's where School Days comes from. Spike
Totally.
Lee was not telling no lies.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
My high school was sort of that way, and when we get sort of conditioned to treat each other that way, then we have to be deconditioned.
Sure.
And that is tough. But also consider, you got two words, right? You got black and you got white. Take them, cut them in half, and put them together either way, right? You get two really interesting words, right? You get whack and you get blight.
Oh, damn.
How crazy is that shit? Like, whack and blight.
I couldn't spell in my head just then.
I think that is our energies towards that, because we don't like the idea, because we went through this whole octoroonism for so long as a country. That whole one drop rule was so prevalent, and now everybody's got a little bit of something, but the one drop rule doesn't apply anymore. Mm-hmm. And so now there's this backpedal, and there's still, the darker you are, the more likely you are to be shot by a cop, male, female, or otherwise. The darker you are, the more likely you are to be shot by a cop. So would someone like me still have the mind that I have, still have the energy toward like, oh no, you won't, that I have if I were your complexion? Possibly not, because my struggles would have been different.
Absolutely.
So I guess if anybody's gonna have to deal with it, it might as well be me, because I've overcome it. But our society needs to get better about that, so that my nieces and nephews don't have to deal with that garbage. Like, I have a niece and a nephew that are biracial, and I don't want them to have to deal with stigma from two different groups of people just because their folks happen to love each other. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I also don't want my niece, whose parents are both black, to have somebody tell her that she's not good enough because she's not pale-skinned like her auntie's other niece.
Yeah.
You know? It needs to be over and done with, America. The world already, it needs to be over and done with. But we are continually pressed to infight, to color fight, to gender fight, to cis v, trans v, yada yada fight, because
It's important.
the important fight, the green fight, the fight for the money, is the one that we're losing.
Yeah. Well, and it's
As a whole.
important for people with the money to keep us fighting with each other.
Absolutely, because that's the way they keep it.
That derailed the conversation for the thing you were going to say
little
about
bit.
the cross.
Yeah,
but it's
the cross.
such an important point about.
Well, but that was my only point, was that I felt like it's not authentic to me. But Doris is not about me. It's about her. Yeah. And so I put it on and I wear it for the show. But it takes me back to the part of me that was Doris. Yeah. I was Doris when I was in college. I was like, straight up, if this was my Bible, I am thumping it. Like, it was my mission to save your soul when I met you. And that mission derailed me from treating people well, so I had to get off that train, period. Which is why, spiritually ambiguous. It's easier to just be good to everybody than it is to figure out who I don't like because their God has this name versus this name versus this name versus that name. Like, it's all silly to me. If you just take out the bad things in the Bible, the things in all of the books of religion that treat people poorly, and narrow it down to the Venn diagram of all of the good things, I'm following that.
Yeah.
Put a name on that, and I'm all about that. But right now, that is not any of the organized religions that I have found. So
That's fair.
I'm just gonna be good to people and see what comes back.
That's another. I mean, I think we could point to money on that one as well.
Yep, it all comes back.
Essentially, if you allowed people in that Venn diagram to understand that there's just love, and then grow a thing from love. Mm-hmm. You don't need to meet regularly and give money, and you don't have to worry about your salvation.
Because you'd already be doing good things.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not an acts-based culture. We're a funds-based culture. You know, I mean, to put us in this place where every single little section of who we are now, we've got to be like, oh, I'm this group, and so I'm going to block myself off and be with people who are just like me. But then inside that meta group is another little group of people down to another group of people, and then it's just basically you and your energies and whether or not you're positive. And I just want to be positive as much as I can. I mean, there's some fights that have to be fought.
Well, and there's the other thing that we learn as actors and learn from doing the arc of the shows. We're hired and put together to play out an entire range of emotions and moments, and heightened. If it was a boring moment in someone's story, we wouldn't be telling it on stage.
Yeah.
So the breadth of emotions we get to experience and play reminds me that all of the moments are beautiful and have teaching and healing. So this idea of that all of it is positive, having a positive and negative experience, right? They're all positive. They're all valuable, worthwhile.
They're all valuable. They all teach you something.
Like some of my most enlivening movies and experiences that I've watched are likely for someone else the most depressing movies I've ever seen. Like life-affirming, oh my gosh, filled with joy. Some of the saddest songs. That is my natural response because I feel seen. I feel like all of the moments count and are valuable in the measure of what like a well-lived life. Those things need to be included, and when those things are included and shown in a particular way, I feel like, okay, I can die today. I'm proud of the life I've lived because I've had the expanse of these kinds of experiences. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. No, it is. It does. And it's awesome that you get to participate in it in both ways.
Yeah.
You know, you get to be a part of it, be a part of the expression of it, and a part of being impressed by it.
Yeah.
You know? Who taught me the word? She didn't teach me the word. I knew the word, but there's a thing to the construct of words, the etymology.
Etymology, I think.
Yeah, etymology. Why are bugs and words so close? Etymology, entomology. That's so weird. So weird. But the word conspire, like, you know, we've turned it into the sinister thing of they conspired together to tear it down. It means to breathe together. I love that. Like, that is so inspiring to me to conspire with a group of really talented individuals who are all there to breathe life into a show. There's a moment in the play where we all inhale together and exhale together on stage, on mic, with music. It is... it's this weird sort of catharsis, this washing moment, this anything that's pent up, because we're about to go into a really tough part of the show. And so to get to this point and like breathe that whole thing out right before we go into like the mad chaos of the moment is a beautiful thing. All of us together, and I feel like the audience does it with us.
Yeah.
And so that's like, you know, 520 people, 620 people breathing together. And that glow, like, yeah, it permeates. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I love it. I kind of feel like there's a settling there. I just wonder, like, what would happen if more groups got together and were breathing together. I know that that's the mission of my friend Melissa's meditation center that's just around the corner. Sitting people together, and what that shared breath is like.
Interesting.
I think when I write the next Bible, there's like, on the first day there's light, and on the second day there's breath. I think there are probably some lots of spiritual practices around the breath. What that means.
Yeah, the breath, it's critically important to life, honestly.
That first moment, that first breath of air for every child.
Yeah.
Some people's traumas are around whether they had to
But you know that you exhale first, right?
I don't know that I know that.
There's before you can, because all that gook is in there and it's got to get cleared before the air can come in.
Oh.
Yeah, there's some like phlegmage and fluid. You know, that's why they go in and suck the little stuff, because all that. Sorry, that was me reacting to the thought of babies coming out of the body. But you know, they're full of goo, and I think water births are really incredible. And if I were to have a baby, I would have them like that, because they're literally in a pseudo-aquatic environment in here. But you know, they're full of whatever that stuff is. It's in their ears. It's in their oculars, it's in their nose, it's in their what is about to become their esophagus now for the first time ever, like that breathing thing. And so it's got to get out. Yeah. So we cannot breathe in the good things until we get rid of the bad stuff. And like, if I were to make an analogy to the country, we're literally trying to inhale with plastic wrap over our faces. Like, we can't grow that way. We can't breathe that way. We're getting there's no oxygenation happening that way. Yeah. We got to cut through the barrier. The problem with cutting through the barrier is that like all the stuff can come out, and people are not ready to let the stuff out.
A lot of the stuff is coming out. The whole expression, the sharing of stories.
Me Too thing, all the stories. But I think it may be a little too much. It's Pandora's boxing right now. It's compounding. Like, okay, so I saw this thing and it was like, how come it's okay for Bill to have been prosecuted, but it's not okay for Brett? Like, what's the difference? Yeah, this happened years ago. Yeah, somebody's coming out of the woodworks about it. But what's the deal? Like, why is one of them okay and why is the other one not okay? Why is it okay for young men, or now not young men, but grown men who were molested by priests as children, to come out and say, hey, I'm 38 and when I was 8 this happened to me, and that priest is supposed to get prosecuted, but a girl can't say, you know what, I was 14 and I'm 44 and this guy raped me, and
yeah, that's
and
a
they're
simple
like,
answer.
Really? Are you sure he raped you? Are you sure he didn't ask for it? How short was your skirt? Were you wearing nylons? Did you have a drink? In that drink, did he happen to roofie you and you didn't notice that you got roofied? Like,
yeah.
Where does the responsibility lie as a culture when your edges are not the same sharpness? If it cuts this way for the goose, it should cut that way for the gander.
It does not.
It does
because, of course, black men rape. Because that's the story of what black men do.
Because that's what we've been fed since childhood.
Then,
immemorial.
You know, with the priests, like, pedophilia and other males, that's not where penises are supposed to go. But penises are totally supposed to go in vaginas.
Yeah, anytime they want, that's where they go.
Those are the two differences in those stories.
Right.
But they shouldn't be different.
It shouldn't be different at all. It shouldn't be different at all. There was this wonderful meme that this chick twittered all over the place about how unprotected pregnancy is 100% men's fault.
I read that.
That was incredible. And I was like, it so is.
100%. Because you have the sperm.
100%. Not only do you have the sperm from the beginning to the very end. We are born with the eggs we're gonna get, period, point blank, period. And you keep replenishing. Like, I had this idea when you and I were gonna share jobs as queen of the world.
Okay.
I'm gonna handle the bionic tech humanoid part, and then you can handle the politics, because I hate that crap. But once we get the biotech thing figured, the politics will be easy because people won't be assholes. So, for ladies, we're gonna have little baby boxes on the walls, little gestational boxes on the walls.
Okay.
You go in at puberty, you get all your good eggs extracted, you put them in the bank. And then you get your tubes tied. No woman ever has to die having pregnancy again, because we can build a baby in a wall. They've got the thing with the lambs. You saw the lamb. Yeah. You could have a backpack.
Baby
Incredible
backpack.
babies. Now, and men, same thing. 12, 13, right when they start getting the good juices going, getting like, you get a spank bank, you fill that thing, and then vasectomy. You don't need more than like a couple billion swimmers. That's maybe a year's worth of like controlled ejaculation, bank, 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 bank. And then from the time that you're 14, you can go gangbusters, because all the girls have been prevented from, just popping out babies. Everybody's got to take a test before they can have kids, and it needs to be something that like everybody can pass. Right. No cultural stigma like math. Okay? Math. If you can't do simple math, you shouldn't be able to have babies anyway.
Right. Or
Because raising kids is math.
hug test. Hugs
Hug
should be part of the test.
test.
None of this like shoulders stuff.
No. Get around
Full
heart
body.
to heart.
And if you can't control like how you
If
respond in the lower
you can't hug a person and
little,
have your penis stay flaccid, then you don't get to
just a
have
slight
children.
out tuckage there.
Yeah.
But just like,
Yeah, I agree.
all right.
If you can't be in a room with a woman that's not your wife and feel safe, I don't think you should be in politics. And if you can't hug a child without getting an erection, you shouldn't be a parent.
Or a priest.
Or a priest. Or a teacher.
Santa Claus.
Or a Santa Claus. Or a mailman.
What else?
Or,
Swim instructor.
but I feel like those people could have some really productive jobs in places where they are allowed to get erections.
Totally.
I think that's important. That if that is something that is necessary for your job.
Also, you can potentially unlearn how
Ooh,
to...
look, I turned the lights on. That was the universe saying yes.
We agree. Shining light on that. You have now been deemed to rule the world.
Porn. People who get quick erections should do porn. I think porn is a place for those people. Absolutely.
Yeah. Webcam stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. I am super sex positive. Oh, see what the light did. I'm super sex positive. I am totes cool with people doing things that are good, giving, game, consensual, fun, and safe words if necessary. However, if you can't lock those 6 things down, stay away from people who, just people, and like get some therapy.
Yes. Okay. So if we've gone into like, oh yeah.
I know.
You don't have those locked down.
But that's like human things too. Like it's just be good to people and don't do dirty things to folks. That's not hard.
That's not hard.
It's
We
not hard
have
at all.
talked about a whole range of
You've been everywhere.
somewhat simple, potentially not easy, guidelines and instructions for how to
be a good person.
being a good person effectively.
Yeah.
And we've given you an entire list of what not good is like.
Yes.
And I think since it's not our responsibility to necessarily teach people how to do the stuff that we suggested is equal to good people, we just be done.
Yeah.
It's not our job.
No, it's not our job. But I tell you what, some people are doing good work.
Yeah.
I have some friends that are like out there making white people have conversations about race. You know? I have some friends out there that are making men have conversations about the way they treat women.
Yeah.
And I think The Color Purple will shine a light on a lot of that too, just to like plug the show again. It's a story about a woman who life happens to and how she recovers with the help of the women in her life. And the kind of thing that a supportive, loving, caring community can bring to pass.
It is a love story.
Yeah.
What community, the love that community can bring healing.
And friendship. Yeah, it's great.
Well, I'm gonna go see it.
Do.
I'm
Do. Okay. Now, they didn't hear this from me, but you did. If you drop my name at the box office, you can get tickets for 50% off.
Oh, nice.
But it's only for friends of mine, so that's you.
Yeah.
And the Thursday performances, I know they're kid shows, but they're at noon. There are going to be tickets available, so get those.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thursdays.
We run a lot. We have 8 show weeks. So come and see us.
It's a lot of work over there. I wish you the best.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for asking me.
Thank you for being here. I don't know if you've asked any questions or that sort of thing, but I appreciate
I don't
that you
know.
came to...
I guess we'll get at them later. Hit me up if you have questions on my Facebook.
Yeah,
I will
please.
answer them if I can.
Please, anyone who's...
And if you have jobs, I'll take those too.
Sure, yeah, no, we can be contacted.
Yeah.
We have our names.
Reachable.
We look just like us when we show up. Well, except we also sort of chameleon. I definitely chameleon. I don't look like me when I show
I'm
up
wearing a
every day.
wig in this show, and I don't look like, I look like me, but I look like me and my grandma and my mom all in the same body. It's kind of crazy. If I
Nice.
ever took my dreadlocks out, I want Doris's hair.
Oh, sweet. I can't wait to see this.
It's great. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Let me know when you come.
I will.
And I'll come and say hi at the stage door.
Thank you. Can we do a microphone mic?
Yep. Where's the
No,
mic?
we do it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And you might leave us comments. We'll see you in the next few days. So we'll check in on that.
Well, that's how that went. Thanks for joining us on this episode. Thanks for watching, listening, I don't know, reading, imbibing, however you took this in. Thanks for being here. And if you really enjoyed it, I'd love it if you would do all of the things. Like, share, I don't know, ring a bell, bang a gong, tell a friend, and come back next time. I hope you had as much fun as I had.